Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today, we have some Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and some Cup Series racing here on the channel. On the Cup Series, we go to Phoenix Raceway, but in Trucks and Xfinity, we go to Homestead Miami Speedway. So, of course, we start things off here at the Ford EcoBoost 200, where we had subscriber Derek Borgman in the truck for us here today. Now, as he was starting a little bit down the order, had a bit of a rough qualifying lap, so it wasn't looking that great getting ready to start this race. But Homestead is a track that we've had some decent performances on. I mean, when we came here on the Cup Series, though, recently, we had a half-decent performance until the end when we actually got wrecked by Joey Logano in overtime. But we got underway here with Derek Borgman behind the wheel, and he had a lot of work to do because starting this far down the running order, he had very little time to try and get himself towards the front as he was up the inside of that 44 of Natalie Decker, passing the 26 of Tyler Ankrum as he went down this back straightaway and just using the inside to his advantage. I really like to get up on the top here at Homestead, but really wasn't an option for Derek to do that right here. As you can see, he's three wide racing all the way around in front of him now as he came through out of turns four. So he was just continuing to run this bottom line here now as he came through to complete that first lap, and he had now gained a couple of positions as he tries to force it three wide into turns one here with the 15, and the 21 gets into the back of Stuart Friesen a little bit there as he came through the center of the corner and out of turns two, but he was just slowly but surely once again moving his way forwards as this race would continue on, as he was just making moves up the inside, but came through a little bit later. Now he was making a move up the inside of the 8 truck here as he went down into turn 3, and he would complete the pass here through the center of the corner. But as we would now approach the final lap of this race here in Homestead Miami, through turns 1 and out of turns 2, actually Derek gets into the outside wall and leaves the door wide open for the 8 of Moffitt to go through on the inside and pass him back, and then he had to actually get out of the way for the 2 faster trucks behind him of the 88 and the, I think that was the 98 as well, as he went down into turns 3 and 4 for the final time here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Friesen as well trying to get up to the outside, but he covers him off on the exit of turns 4, so Derek Borgman comes through to cross the line in a bit of a disappointing 14th position here at Homestead Miami Speedway, as in 99 of Ben Rhodes was able to pick up the victory over Gracie Trotter, and Corey Heim, Austin Hill, Chandler Smith rounds out your top 5, with Tim Richmond rounding out the top 10 as you look through the rest of the finishing order here on your screen. So, I mean, it was a decent recovery for a rough qualifying effort here for us in the Truck Series with Derek Borgman behind the wheel. So now we're going to come through into the Xfinity Series race here at Homestead Miami Speedway as well. Paul Menard behind the wheel, of course, this time for us, and once again, it wasn't the greatest qualifying effort coming into this race, because just like on the Truck Series side, well, Paul this time in the car had a very rough qualifying lap, just making mistakes, hit the outside wall. Actually, I think it was out of turns too, so wasn't the greatest effort once again, as now we're going to have a lot of work to do here once this race gets going green, which would happen right now, as Paul, though, of course, just trying to utilize that bottom to his advantage, just like we saw in the Truck Series. He did not waste any time into turns 1, making it 3 wide here as he came through the center of the corner, now to the inside of that 07 of Ray Black Jr., and showing up out of turns 2. He's already gained, 3 or 4 positions here as he goes down this back straightaway to complete the first half of a lap in Miami, and he was continuing to make moves up the inside and get aggressive here, and he was moving his way through the field, at least on this first and opening lap, very quick there. Got to the back of the 66 out of turns 4, moves him up and out of the groove. The 66 saves it, and that would allow Paul to get to the inside, making it 3 wide down into turns 1, and Paul was moving his way forwards continuously now as we came through a little bit later in this race up the inside of the 51 of Jeremy Clements. But unfortunately, once again, a situation like the Truck Series, we might be moving our way forwards, but we're not even really in the top 10 now as he came through out of turns 4. Very close call with the 51 there on the exit of the turn, but now a little bit later on, he was now around the 7 of Justin Allgaier. But at this point in the race, Paul was actually starting to fall off here on this final lap, so Justin Allgaier was up the inside into turns 1, and Allgaier would be able to pass Paul, so we came through down the back straightaway into turn 3 now on the final lap of this race, actually getting into the outside wall through turns 3 and 4, but he was falling off so hard here at the very end of this race, so it was going to be, at the end of the day, a very unfortunate finish here for Paul Menard here in the Xfinity Series as he comes through to cross the line. P15 actually worse than our Truck Series effort now as you look through the rest of the finishing order. Tony Bradinger wins her first Xfinity Series race in her rookie season position in the 98 car for Stuart Haas Racing. Kevin Magnussen, Rajah Caruth, as well as Sheldon Creed, all up there in the top 5 as you look through the rest of the finishing order on your screen. Right there, Majeski down in like P29, and at the very bottom we had the 93 of CJ McLaughlin. But now we come through into the Cup Series race here for Phoenix Raceway, where we had Dr. Pepper back on the car for the second time this season. I love this car so much. I don't like Dr. Pepper, but I love this car now. As we came through a little bit into our qualifying effort down towards turns 1, the goal was to hit a 26.095. I didn't really expect to get there. We've had a rough start to the season, but hopefully a track that we won at last season just a handful of races ago really can turn our luck around here today as we hit a 26.1 and qualify P12 here for the Fan Shield 500. The only time we will go to Phoenix Raceway this season here, so we got to make it count now, and hopefully this race can be a bit of a turning point for our rough season so far as you look at the qualifying order. Anthony Alfredo actually on the pole. Denny Hamlin up there in the top 10, and then you got Eric Jones in the McLaren rounding out the top 10. Derek Kraus up there in the mid-teens, Cole Custer as well, and Brad Keselowski. But you look at down towards the 30s, some big names, and the GOWEN racing car, Daniel Suarez down in P38, so a very rough qualifying effort for him here as we get ready to take the green flag at Phoenix Raceway. Alright boys, it's not been the season we've been looking for so far, but hopefully today can really be our opportunity to turn things around. We won here last season. I mean, we won a championship here, so let's go back it up with a potential win today. There you hear myself on the radio to the team as we're getting ready to take the green flag. There you see Cole Custer has been dominant all weekend. He only qualified like 20th as Chase Briscoe failed pre-race inspection. He's had a very rough season so far for Stuart Haas Racing. Starts at the back along with Derek Kraus, who crashed during qualifying in that second 2311 car. As we get ready to take the green flag here now on the outside line from the 12th starting position alongside the number 4 of Haley Deegan. Right behind Eric Jones as the green flag is out, and we are underway as Anthony Alfredo leads the field to green here down towards this first corner. So stage 1, a very short stage. You don't have a lot of time to get things done here in this opening stage at Phoenix Raceway. Now stage 2 is a whole different animal. It's lengthier, as well as it makes it very, very interesting in terms of making it to the end of stage 2 on both fuel and tires now as we go down into turns 3. Stuck on the second lane, but we were actually making it work here as we came through to turns 4. And something that we've been struggling with this season so far in the career mode is we really have been struggling to get stage points, and that's something we haven't really dealt with before. And not only that, but we've also been struggling to get top 10. So we really got to try and change that here today at a track that we've had success at in the past. We've had a runner-up finish to Martin Truex Jr. For a championship by a photo finish where Truex won over us, and then we came here last season for the championship race, and we won the race and the championship, of course. So a good opportunity, I think, for us today to potentially get at least a good result, or hopefully turn the season right around now as we would make it 3 wide with Eric Jones as well as Harrison Burton as we came through the tri-oval, getting past that 0-2, but Burton remains on my outside as we went down into turns 1. But now we are moving our way up towards P8, but Burton actually battles back on that outside for a moment, but I do clear him on the exit of turns 2 with some more momentum. So running P8, and then sure enough we run down 7th place of Christopher Bell. Everybody was really close together right here. Noah Gragson was leading the way. Gregson's having a bit of a rough start to the season, but trying to turn things around just like we are here today as he leads the way into turn 3 now on just the 5th lap of this race. As you can see myself moving forwards, we get past that 20. Then we were up the inside of the 2 of Ryan Preece, and Preece has had a bit of a rough start to the season as well, but last episode he really showed some speed for the first time, and now it looks like today he has some top 10 speed as well here as I was continuing to move my way forwards, passing now the pole sitter of Anthony Alfredo there in that 21 car. So we passed him, moving up into the top 5, and it has not been an easy season. The top 5 honestly felt very new to me all of a sudden now as we went down towards turns 1. Unfortunately, now on lap 9 of 18 in this stage, we were now actually getting passed by Eric Jones in the McLaren. The car seemed to be falling off a tiny bit, but I just didn't downright seem to have the speed that Jones had as we're side by side down towards turn 3 as Ryan Preece actually forces it 3 wide between myself and Jones. I was not expecting that, so I was already turning into the corner, expecting Jones to be on the yellow line, so I end up making contact with him, and then we lose the spot there. Now side by side with Harrison Burton down into turn 3 on lap 11. The same situation happens now as Benedetto forces us 3 wide. Once again, I was already turning into the corner thinking Burton is going to be on that yellow line. Not the case. So all of a sudden, we give up a bunch of positions here. We go from P5 now to P9 as we cut through to lap lap 14, now losing a spot as well to Christopher Bell, as you see me fighting really hard on the outside, but the caution comes out for the first time here today at Phoenix Raceway, and this is going to force everybody into the pit lane for 2 cans of fuel as well as for fresh tires, and this is actually going to leave either a 1 or 2 lap dash. I didn't make any adjustments right here because at this point I didn't think we had enough of a run to really get a good idea of where we should go with this car, because so far the car felt actually pretty good, so I decided to leave it the way it was for now and then reassess it later and decide if we need to make some adjustments on the car here as we get ready though to go green. We come in P10, we come out P9, so we gain a spot overtaking Christopher Bell in that 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing here as we get ready to go back underway for what is sure enough a 1 lap dash here at Phoenix Raceway to decide stage 1 here. I could have gotten really aggressive, maybe force it up the inside of Eric Jones 3 wide, but the situation was, you know what, we've had a rough start to the season. I'm not going to go and just do something crazy here and potentially cause a crash, but now here's our chance to take it 3 wide without really causing too much issue, but I just did not have a good exit out of turns 2, so Jones stays ahead as we go down into turns 3 and 4 for the final time here in stage 1, and we got DeBenedetto on the outside, Custer just behind, but out of turns 4, Noah Gregson, who's been dominating so far, wins stage 1. DeBenedetto actually gets a way better run than us, and we have to settle for P9 as he gets us for P8, but at the end of the day, that's a solid 2 points for us here in stage 1, and in a season where we've been really struggling to get stage points, I will take that all day long now, as everybody, of course, will be staying out here at the end of stage 1 as we only run 1 lap on those tires. So Gregson with the stage victory there, as you see some of the rest of the drivers right now. Hamilton down in what, P35. Lewis Hamilton was very strong at Sonoma earlier this season on the road course as expected, but on the oval certainly hasn't been his friend so far here in the career mode, but I expect as this season goes on he'll get way better at the oval side of racing as we're underway for the start of stage 2, and now it is time to get amped. There you have the amp segment here from Phoenix Raceway. You see in the top left, we've got 25 laps here in stage 2 at Phoenix now. So we are going to be very close on tires and feel like we always are in this second stage. But usually a caution comes out and saves us from having to really worry about tires. But now you can see I'm under attack from that 10 of Matt DiBenedetto as we go down into turn 3. And immediately I could tell, I don't know what it was, because the AI don't really adjust their cars, I don't believe, under caution, or in pit stops I should say. But it all of a sudden just seemed like I didn't have the speed that we had in stage 1, as now I'm trying desperately to hold on to a top 10 position, but Austin Cindric in the 33, he's going to blow right on by me. Just a heads up, I will be getting those rookie stripes taken off that 33 very soon here now, as High C Creations sent me a new version of that car without the rookie stripes, as Cindric is in his now 2nd season here in the career mode, or actually I think 3rd season, sorry, now as we go down this back straightaway side by side with Christopher Bell. So we now drop into P13 on lap 5 of stage 2. I was starting to get a little bit concerned here now as we were up the inside of DiBenedetto. A very close call right there on the exit of turn 4 coming through to complete lap 7 now as we move back up at least into 12th place now as we are trying so hard to get up towards the top 10 as we go down into turns 1. Noah Gregson continuing to lead the way, but I couldn't make the pass on DiBenedetto. He actually ends up driving back by on the outside of me, kind of like he did at the end of stage 1. Now Chase Elliott, my Hendrick teammate, just behind myself. Elliott's been winless for quite some time now in the career mode, and right now he's had a decent start to the season, but the caution actually comes out again here in Phoenix. But this time you see a couple drivers coming in, but a bunch of drivers staying out. So I decided right here, we're running P13. 17. You know what we're going to do? We're going to stay out at the end of this caution and see if we can maybe hold on to a really decent result in this second stage, because track position is very important at a track like Phoenix. So I said, you know what, we're going to risk it here and stay out while a bunch of other drivers actually come into the pit lane. You see Zane Smith up in second behind Gregson, Ryan Preece up there in P3, but you look through the rest of the order and it's pretty split of drivers who were pitting and drivers who are not, but it looks like there's a lot more pitting it than there are staying out, but we stay out, and now we're in P5 for the restart behind Ryan Preece in the 2 car. So hopefully it works out. We weren't even in the top 10 there when that caution came out. So if we can really just hold on to a top 10 here for the rest of the stage, we'll be in really good shape. Now there's still 12 laps to go, so there's plenty of time for those guys on tires to work their way forwards and run us down. Joey Logano behind us, our rival, 3 wide with our teammate Chase Elliott. Bubba Wallace on his inside. I kind of pushed up the track right there through the center and exit of 1 and 2, but fortunately nothing really happens with Cole Custer as we go down into turns 3 and 4 in the Fan Shield 500. So far, it's been a decent race for us now, as it's definitely not been the, race-winning performance that we've had here in the past right now as we go down this front stretch towards turns 1 behind Zane Smith. But now we're running up here in P4. We can actually get close enough to the lead to maybe hopefully actually contend for this lead now, as I'm doing everything I can. I was pushing this car so hard to just try and stick with these guys right here. With Preece, he was now up into second behind Noah Gragson. We come through to lap 17. I make a bit of a mistake right there. I push up out of turns 4, leaving the door wide open for Cole Custer in the 29 to go up my inside into turns 1. But now look behind us. 6th place of Joey Logano was quite a ways behind, so it was now looking like we're going to hang on to at least P4 or P5 here in stage 2, gaining a bunch of positions that are also going to be crucial going into this final stage now as we came through into turns 3 and 4, now approaching the final 4 laps of this stage, and absolutely no pressure from behind. The tire icon had now come on, but I was expecting to be in good shape here as we come through turns 1 and 2. 17% on the right front is Noah Gragson. The leader blows the right front tire into the wall. He goes, and the caution will come out. Stage 2 comes to an end a few laps early, and we end up getting 4th place in stage 2, which is, I think, potentially, other than the Daytona 500, our best stage finish of the season, as Noah Gragson, who's dominating this race, has just DNF'd after blowing a right front tire and crashing into the outside wall now, as we decide, you know what, at the end of stage 2, we're going to make some adjustments to the car. So I decided to put the grill tape up. I put the wedge down, I put the right side tire pressures up, and hopefully this will give us a little bit more of the kind of looseness I'm looking for in the car going into this 3rd and final stage now, as it looks really good to see P4 on stage 2 as Ryan Preece ends up winning the stages. We gain 1 position on the pit lane as well and move into P3 for the stage 3. So things all of a sudden for us looking really good here in Phoenix now. We haven't been in the mix for any race victory really this season other than Homestead Miami now, as we actually go up the inside of Preece. He was caught sleeping right there by myself. He had a worse restart than 2nd place of Zane Smith. So all of a sudden, here we are taking the lead into turns 1 and 2 now as we come through, leading the way down the back straightaway. It felt really good to be leading some laps here now, as I don't even think we've legitimately led laps this season. Daytona 500, maybe we were up at the front, but when it comes to just a normal track like your 1.5 miles or a short track or a road course, we haven't been leading any laps really. So here we are out front, but I know that we don't really have race-winning speed compared to now the 2-car of Ryan Preece. Gregson, fastest car of the day, out of the race, so his rough season continues after a strong stage 1 and 2, but now Preece was running me down very quickly into turns 3 as it's Penske Racing 2nd and 3rd with Preece and Logano now as we come through to turns 4, but I realized very quick I had absolutely nothing, at least on the short run, for Ryan Preece, so I leave the door open for him on the inside with 30 laps to go. We also have a lot of racing to go here in stage 3 at Phoenix Raceway. So Preece gets up the inside, clears me no problem now. Joey Logano looks up the inside. I know it was coming from him. He's going to actually squeeze us up towards the wall a little bit now. A little bit of contact between himself and I, but it really didn't turn into anything there. A little bit of smoke from his car, but we come through turn 3 and we fall down to P3. And now Logano was actually starting to drive away, and Ryan Preece, he was checking out. He was gone now as we came through to turn 4, but surprisingly, we're holding our own here in P3. Things are looking great with 25 laps to go. I was shocked because when we were starting stage 2, halfway through the stage before we decided to stay out under caution, we weren't even in the top 10. We weren't even really capable of driving into the top 10. And now here we are holding our own in P3 with 0 pressure from behind. And now on lap 57, approaching the final 21 laps of this race, it all of a sudden started to come into my advantage here. I was actually starting to reel in Joey Logano now as he was driving away in the first part part of the stage, but Ryan Preece, he was still checking out. He was long gone, but you can see now I'm getting closer and closer all of a sudden to the 22 of Joey Logano, and continuously, no pressure from behind from anybody out of turns 4. Now approaching the final 18 laps of this race. We had 9/10 of a second over Denny Hamlin in his final season, by the way, as you guys should be aware of by now, I'm sure. Now is Harrison Burton. He was up into P5. Hamlin was trying to close in on me, but I'm getting closer and closer to Joey Logano. Preece, unfortunately, is getting further and further away, but we weren't focusing on a win at this point now. We were just focusing on, you know what, if nothing happens to Preece, let's just have a good finish here for the first time this season as we go down into turns 3 now, closing in even more on the back of that Shell Point Pennzoil 22 Ford Mustang of Joey Logano. But now the tire icon comes on, so on lap 67 I'm realizing we got to come into the pit lane very, very soon. So I was not really forcing the issue on Logano too much, because I know that how hard I push the tires as we come through to lap 69. Nice, I look at that right front, 4%. We got to pit earlier than anybody, which could have big implications if a caution comes out. But if a caution comes out while we are on the pit lane, we're in great shape, because now we will get to pit and then come out as the leader. So we come through into the pit lane. Unfortunately, the caution doesn't come out here, so we get into our pit box and decide 2 right side tires is the way to go, and then just half a can of fuel or so now as we get ready to go back out on the track. And now it is crucial for it to stay green here until the cycle gets through, to make sure we're back up into potentially second or third place. I was hoping drivers like Joey Logano and Ryan Preece would stay out as long as possible, but now in lap 73, Ryan Preece had come into the pit lane. So as we come through out of turns 2 down this back straightaway, we will unlap ourselves against Ryan Preece. So now it is game on as we go down into turns 3. We're going to come around one more time, and we're going to really see where we cycle out against Ryan Preece. Did we have, or maybe pit early enough to kind of get that tire advantage and maybe take the lead in the final 5 laps of this race? We're about to find out now as we came through out of turns 4. Preece actually already coming out of his pit box, so I realized we have nothing for him, but then the caution actually comes out with 4 laps to go, and we had a bunch of cars in front of us before we cycled through, and now a good day gets us put down in P9 for the final restart, what is going to be forced into overtime here in Phoenix. Here's the replay of the incident. William Byron blows a right front tire into the wall. He goes, and then he says, you know what, I'm just going to hook it right as Sam Mayer is coming through, hits him head on there in the right side, and the caution, of course, comes out, and now we get stuck down in P9. What a great race it has been for us, and now unfortunately we're at the back half of the top 10, but at the end of the day, honestly, it's still been a good race, and if we can get a top 10 out of it, I will be pretty satisfied here. As Ryan Preece, Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, and Harrison Burton, your top 4, with Daniel Suarez in P5 in the Going Racing car. The 8 of Tyler Reddick gets off to a bit of a slow start, not Tyler Reddick, Zane Smith in that 8 car now, as I'm still getting used to him being in that 8 Chevrolet as we go down into turns 1. He forces it 3 wide with our own driver of Daniel Suarez now as we come through turns 1 and 2, nearly into the quarter panel of Daniel, but just not the runoff that I need out of the corner as Preece leads the way into turns 3 and 4 as we go approaching the final lap of this race. Kyle Busch on my outside is actually getting to the back of my own car there as we come through out of the corner. Ryan Preece leads the way to the white flag now as I'm going to cut down on that dog leg, trying to stay side by side with Kyle Busch and get that 8th position as we send it into turns 1 and 2. Hamlin to 2nd, Smith all the way up into 3rd now as we clear Kyle Busch. A great corner for myself as we exit turns 2. 8th place down the back straightaway. Ryan Preece won 2 races for Wood Brothers Racing last season in that 21 car. Got promoted to Penske after Keselowski announced he was going to Stewart-Haas Racing, and it was sure enough the right call by Penske as Preece wins in Phoenix as we come through to cross the line for an 8th place finish here at Phoenix Raceway. In my opinion, not the kind of expected performance from us, but the way the season has gone, it's been a big struggle so far, and P8, I will absolutely take that. Now, as Hendrick Motorsports as a whole has kind of been struggling a little bit this season, and you're kind of seeing that with the performances. Larson had a good effort, but Bowman and Elliott down there, 19th and 20th for Elliott, 20th there for Bowman. So, very unfortunate results for those guys now as you look at the rest of the order. Christian Eckes actually had a really rough race. Lewis Hamilton down there in P36. Timmy Hill in that 3rd car for Chip Ganassi Racing so far has gotten off to a terrible start, but Ryan Preece now had some speed last episode and then comes into today and wins now as he's actually 4th in the overall standings, but we move up into P7 from being outside of the top 10, but you actually look at the overall standings, 1 bad race and we can be easily down in P14, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And in the next episode we have our first brand new track to the schedule. Now, of course, we have the custom modded schedule where we can just kind of move things around, but we've also got tracks where the Cup Series doesn't go to in real life, like Gateway, where we go to in the next episode. Then we have Road America coming up in a couple races time. So I've done a little bit of testing. I did about 2 or 3 laps, or actually maybe it was like 4 or 5 at Gateway to get a feel of what we're going to be up against. And I think our chances actually of winning Gateway are pretty legitimate. So you're going to have to stay tuned for that one and see what we can do. I only know what to expect on a short run. So anything like 10 laps and beyond, I really don't know what to expect. But as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, you do know what to do. There you see the playoff grid right now. Daniel Hemrick in the 12 car, 5 points below the cut line. His teammate of Cindric, 9 points below. Zane Smith, 11. Busher, 13. And our own driver of Daniel Suarez for the GOWEN Racing Chevrolet is 13 below that cut line. Is currently 9th is where we are on that playoff grid. Already a ways below P1 on the standings. So it's going to be very hard if we want to even have a chance at winning the regular season championship at this point. We need to turn things around very quickly. But like I said, in the next one, we go to Gateway or WWT Raceway. So our first brand new track on the schedule. Very excited to see how that one turns out here for us at Gateway. I'll give you guys a really quick look at what to expect here in the next couple races, though, before we end things in terms of what the schedule looks like. It's Kansas after Gateway, then Road America, then Kentucky. So a very diverse set of tracks that we got coming up, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But before we end it, I would just like to say a quick thank you to the GOWEN Racing members here on the channel of MJ, Joseph 9001, Timothy Arline, Bubba Jr., Brett Durward, Dark Gengar Gaming, AJ Vasura, King Matt XL, Dana 9302, as well as Russell Dixon. Your guys' support really helps me out a lot, and I really do appreciate it, as I say in every episode. And once again, thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you guys in the next one at Gateway. Have a great day, everybody.